Hi, my name is SMReg Rizwan and my student ID is 10317243. In this video, I'm going to talk about my custom code Orb Collector. This is actually a platforming game where the player spawns as a collector who has an obsession towards collecting circular objects called orbs. These are usually found high up on mountains, especially on ones that have treacherous terrains. This is quite an issue as it means that the terrain is filled with spikes which will kill the collector on the spot. Furthermore, since the collector has been collecting lots of orbs, he has incurred the wrath of Orb God who has sent mimics to destroy him. Mimics are like the orbs he's collected but filled with so much rage that they have turned blood red and have obtained the ability to track the collector no matter where he goes. So a player's task is to help the collector gather all the orbs while avoiding both falling onto spikes and also from coming into contact with mimics. So let me show you how to play the game. The game itself has 5 levels: demo level, 4 normal levels, and an impossible level which is only for the ones who have really fast reflexes and excellent platforming skills. Since there won't be enough time to go through each and every level, I will just quickly show you the demo version which contains all the objects of the map in a relatively simple map. You can see the player has the ability to move left, right and jump. Also, if you look carefully at his head, you can also see which direction he is currently facing. Whenever he touches an orb, it will disappear and the count will reduce by 1. Also, there is a timer running on throughout the level, keeping track of the time it took you to collect all the orbs and giving out certain commands that have handpicked for each time period range upon their victory. But beware, seeing the red object coming towards you, that's the mimic. It has an enemy AI encoded in which lets it hone in onto player position all the time. If you touch it, it's game over. Furthermore, while running away from the enemy, you must also be aware not to fall into spikes or else it will be game over as well. So your main objective is to listen to soft music while avoiding enemy spikes and collecting all the orbs. Now let's come to your code part. Here I have not only used the knowledge I have obtained throughout the course like arrays, classes, modularization function, temporal cohesion, etc. but also those that extend beyond it like enemy AI, zero, restriction, etc. So there are lots of cases where problems arose. In the first problem there was about loading different maps through different levels. In the code's initialized part I had set up the game map and player position, but when I moved it into if condition with relevant trigger, the code would produce an error. That's because the trigger was false on the start and only began true once certain level was clicked on at home screen. But player and game map had to be generated first in order for home screen to even load, so there was a sequence problem. So I modified the code to always load demo and player generation spot from the start. Then once a certain level trigger was pressed, it will load the specific game map and player position. I have also made trigger immediately turn 4 so it can only call it once in update. This technique can also be used in order to add different music and background picture to each level if you wish. Next came the problem in the form of buttons. In order to bypass rendering error in Gosu, I utilize trigger method in different Z-order level. Object will move upon different Z-order in order to become visible to player and seem as a floated bar. But this caused another problem, as if the player knew the button position, they can click it no matter what, even if it's not visible. I resolved that by giving a restriction button on regarding Z-order level. Thus now the button must load a certain Z-order in order to respond to click inputs, so player won't be able to misuse it. After this came the problem of making enemy hold on to player. Till now I have just seen ways to move an object in a specific direction but not how to find player. So I researched on it and thus ended up becoming my own enemy AI algorithm. Unfortunately, it has ended up becoming too powerful and thus I had to forcefully reduce its speed and hitbox size so the player had the chance to dodge it and run away. I'll tell you details about my research in the next video which will be on my research project with the name Enemy AI.